Well, let me introduce you. So excited for you to be here today. So Brooklyn, she's a personification and sustainability expert, changing the sustainability factor of the earth, the people on it, and the belief within them. She's also the perfect dog mom and just amazing woman herself. And thank you for everyone joining on and coming on. Hey, Brooklyn, do you want to say anything else about yourself that I missed?
Whew, I don't know if I could even do myself justice after what you just said.
I love it. Oh my goodness. So I've known you, Brooklyn, for just a little while. I feel like I've known you for years and years, but we met online in this beautiful spectrum of doing business. And I want to talk to you today about business and sustainability and really how they go hand in hand with each other. Right. So first, I want to define sustainability as the ability to be maintained at a certain rate or level. So I really think about that as consistency and being consistent as we go along. So in the terms of business, right, how can we have a sustainable mindset in business if events and outcomes really we don't have any control over? Sometimes they just happen, right?
Yeah, totally. I think, and I just want to welcome everyone hopping on right now. I appreciate your support, everybody, and hopefully this is a lot of value for you. I think the biggest thing is understanding what's external, right, and what's internal. So what can you change, what can you affect, and what can you not? I mean, working in a space of purification and sustainability, you become very aware very quickly how much is sort of already done in terms of damage, and how much is done by, influences larger than you. And there's not a lot that you can do to change that. At this point, a lot of it is reactive. And that's okay. We can do things that are proactive, but I think understanding that there's a fine line between what you can actually change and what you now kind of have to protect yourself against.
Yeah. So really setting up boundaries is an answer, and setting up boundaries in a way that allows you to be like, okay, I'm okay right here, right now, and everyone here. I mean, in the business world, it's like, okay, stay in the present moment. But I don't believe a lot of people understand and know what that present moment is all about. And it's knowing that you are safe and loved right here, because you're only guaranteed right here. So
absolutely.
I love that. I love that answer. And then going towards the way of environment and business meeting hand in hand, really society gives us pressure and builds up a fear base if we're not being environmentally conscious enough, or if we're not making X amount of sales in our business. What is really one way we can be able to know that we have the power to determine our own life, and we don't need to be surrounded or be affected by the fear, right? But the fear that's happening and coming on.
Yeah, that's a great question. You always live up to your reputation as a great interviewer. I think what it comes down to, again, is sort of is knowing your limits, knowing what you can affect, having that awareness, right, of and your expectations of what you're trying to affect. I mean, for example, if your initiative, let's say, is to provide clean water, or if your initiative is to reduce plastic, understanding, what that looks like and what kind of scale do you want to affect it on. And I think having that self-awareness, this is a big one, and I'm sure that, you'd probably agree as an anxiety coach, it's like, you need to understand what your capacity is and where you are in the present moment. I mean, I didn't start this journey being able to affect on a large scale and speak to big audiences, right? I had to build that credibility because that was something that I cared about and prioritized. And so I think understanding that even just the build to be able to build that kind of influence and that kind of credibility takes time. And so you have to be patient with yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing we're lacking, because everything is instant. If you go to, file new window, you're always consistently going to get that new window unless your computer's broken, right? But you're always getting the same results. And so people are wondering, oh my gosh, I'm doing this and I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And it's like, well, just stay consistent, be okay, you're okay. And so it's having that constant reminder is not to compare against others, right?
And I mean, I could not
Yeah.
even say that better myself, but I think too, it's about understanding that if your goal is to affect on a larger scale, understanding that that's
Mm,
not an ego thing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
are somebody who can, stop using aerosol hairspray, like, if you're somebody who can change from using plastic to glass, if you're somebody
Yeah.
who can put a filtration system, if you're somebody who can reduce their carbon emissions, like you need to
Mm,
understand, like you are, yes, a drop in an ocean, but it all matters. And there
yeah.
are going to be influences that, absolutely change on a larger
Yeah.
scale, some of the things that you care about. So be part of that, right? And don't let it
Yeah.
be ego. Don't let it be like, I need to change the world. It needs to be my stamp on it. I think that was a huge kind of learning point for me. Whereas there are bigger forces I can collaborate with, and there are bigger forces
Mm,
and influences that I can learn from. And when you open yourself up to that, when you open yourself up to learning, I think that opens a lot more
yeah.
doors as far as, what you can change in your life on a smaller scale to make a big effect. And yeah, if you change your yourself from using like plastic to glass, for example, you're not going to see that save the world overnight. You're probably
Yeah.
not even going to see that save the world in your lifetime. But if you can be someone who advocates for the earth, right, by and doing that and living out what you're educating on,
Yeah.
that's where the difference is going to be made, because it's a trickle out effect, right? This
Yeah.
is years and years of buildup and damage
Yeah.
to our bodies and our earth and those kinds of things. So it's not an overnight, it's not an overnight fix, and a lot of it is sort of past the point. So where do we get creative? Where do we open up new solutions um, in order to heal or in order to protect? You know what I mean?
Mm. You said something really interesting in that answer, and I just want to point it out because there's a lot of people out there that have so much passion and drive, and they're like, I want to do this. I've come to this earth to do this. And they stumble a lot more than the people are like, I'm going to get this done, but I know it's not going to be right away. And so for someone that wants to get it done so much, what do you usually tell those people? Because it's almost like they have to flip their story around and going, it's okay. I have to be okay no matter what the result is. Whether this result on the environment I want to change or not, I have to stay in control of myself at all times.
Yeah, I think it has to be the awareness of the effect. And I'll go back to that every
Mm,
single time, sort of,
yeah.
you need to believe in what you're doing for the reasons you're doing it, not because there has to be this crazy outcome just from your action, right? And I think
Yeah.
having that awareness, and again, that idea of your capacity and limits. Look, if you're somebody who has, so much on your plate that all you can do for the earth is again, yeah, change something small, you may
Mm,
not be able to affect on that larger scale. But if you're somebody who wants to prioritize these kinds of things, then
yeah.
shifting your priorities to being able to, because I mean, yeah, it takes a lot of work to change a lot of lives at once. It's not,
Yes.
if it was easy and if it was not time consuming, then everybody would do it, right? But these are sacrifices that we make. I mean, it's not easy to switch your lifestyle, no matter what it is, even if it's convenient, even if it's cost effective. I talk to
Yeah.
people on a scale of, hey, I've got a solution that makes a lot of sense for you. It's going to
Mm,
save you money. It's going to save you, money in the long run, in the short term. This is going to protect your health. This is going to shift where you spend your money, and shift your quality of life. But it's getting someone to change that,
yeah.
that lifestyle. That's
Yeah.
hard. It's the ingrained habits that we have, and it's the rituals and those kinds of things. So asking someone to change those things, they have to care about what they're doing. They do. It's one of those things where you have to really believe in the
Yeah.
habit itself in order for it to be created.
It's almost like we're going from the boombox to the iPod. Like, even though
In a
we're
way.
simplifying things, it really takes a lot of effort to dismiss a lot or kind of get rid of in order for us to go to 2.0, 3.0. And
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that, Brooklyn. So I just want to change the conversation up around also talking about the environment. In 2006, California put a cap on the amount of carbon released in the air from just companies' emissions, right? Companies who created products that emit carbon in order to reduce pollution. So, in fact, California Air Resource Board is on track to actually hitting their 2020 goal because they're charging these companies that are releasing that carbon into the air. So, how can we really be reminded of this achievement and know that it's not in our control? I know I keep going back to that, but it's so hard hitted that, like, people think they have to just take it upon themselves in order to do that, or they see a fear based in the world that, oh, the world is just going down, oh, we're just going into demise. But actually flipping that over into the conversation of, wow, we're actually achieving something, we're taking this seriously, even though all of us don't take it seriously maybe, but there is a percentage that do.
Yeah, I always, my premise is always to, create awareness, right?
Yeah.
Educate on that. And then, I don't know, just create, I mean, or I guess give hope that there are solutions and there are options, right? And then
Yeah.
empower people to make a decision. And so, the larger entities, the larger organizations, they're going to have the power. And I think,
Yeah.
part of that as a society, and as a market, it's up to
Yeah.
us to really advocate for what we want and what we're willing to do. Because when
Mm-hmm.
companies do that, or I guess, I mean, when organizations do that, and then companies are, they have to shift things as well, right? So
Mm-hmm.
prices may go up, or, there may be changes in things. And we have to be willing to say, hey, this is something that we care about. We have to be
Mm-hmm.
willing to support those decisions. And I think one
Yeah.
of the biggest things we can do is exercise our voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And express that as a market, these are things we care about. So like every single person that looks into a solution with me, like
Mm.
these are not people who we're going out and chasing after for business. These are people who are
Yeah.
interested in what we're doing. And so I think, again, yes, your purchase is important, your
Yeah.
implementation of this new habit and this new option is important, but your voice is the most important thing. And in a world where we've become so, passive and scared to speak
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
there's a lot of advocates. There are a lot of people that will speak up, but there are also just a lot of people who are afraid and apolitical. And I'm not political whatsoever,
Mm.
but the things that I believe in, I will always speak up for, because you can be the wealthiest person in the world, but if our earth is not here, right? If
Yeah.
our health is not here, how are we to enjoy it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Years of damage to the earth, the fight's not over. You know what I mean? We still have the ability to really turn this around, or slow some of the effects. But it comes down to our voice, and it comes down to what we
Yeah.
care about.
And standing together as one instead of being divisive. I love that. I love that. Um, and I think that's people are starting to understand and turning their heads and going, I'm so much powerful as a million instead of one single. So thank
Yeah.
you. I love that so much. Now going to your beautiful business and the water itself, right? And clean water. So there is 1% accessible drinking water on this planet. So how does your company use sustainability in order to provide fresh water for those who need it?
I think that can go into a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
My entire premise is, look, I mean, our air is affected.
Yeah.
Our food is affected. We know that the food, from 100 years ago was a different nutritional scale than it is
Yes.
today because of our soils. Our water is affected by, there's circulation of pharmaceuticals in the water. And I'm not going to get, conspiracy theory or anything like that. These are just facts. That's going to affect our immune system and our abilities, or our body's ability to heal and function itself, right?
Yeah.
So it is a fact that our living essentials basically are affected, right? The things we put on our body, the things we clean our houses with, all of these things. And so I think it's important, rather than trying to throw something into your body to cover up symptoms, or to basically put a band-aid on the problem, I think it's better to go to the root and say, hey, this person is affected with these things because they've been exposed to, et cetera, et cetera. And that goes down to the living essentials. So our goal is to basically provide somebody with something that's going to allow them to sort of, protect themselves from the things that we're exposed to. How many times, do you go to like a church function or an event or something? I mean, I know you speak at tons of events.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you shake hands. I'm sure that you mingle and you talk to people, and I'm sure you touch public doorknobs, all of these things, right? And so having something
As a germaphobe, you're freaking me out.
I'm not trying to, but it's creating that awareness piece, right? And sometimes we're not aware, so
Yeah.
it's easy to say, my grandparents have been around for, 60, 70 years, and they're still, they're fine. And I think that's a level of denial to where we've gone in terms of what we're exposed to. And to answer your question, the goal is just to reduce the exposures to things that our bodies cannot handle and do not need, without stripping the pieces of those living essentials that we need.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I couldn't say it better myself. Thank you so much. And then how do we now educate? I think for me, it is so confusing, and this is silly. It's so confusing to what I can recycle versus what I can't. And, following my county rules, but then also new products are coming out that you actually throw away in the trash rather than recycle because they're corn-based and they can actually decompose on themselves. What is an easier way, and literally for me to learn this, and a fun way? Because I mean, people get bored so quickly. Our attention spans are so short. What's an easier way to learn this?
Yeah, I remember you were telling me about that, and I thought that was interesting because you had immersed yourself in an environment where you were given information that you didn't know, right? And so I think if it's something that you care about, this is the true, and this might be a little bit tough love, but if you don't care about this stuff, it really does not matter what we put in front of you, in what format, in what kind of activity. You're not, you know what I mean? So if you're somebody who cares about this stuff, and I think that there are a lot of people who maybe care about it, but that hasn't been awakened yet because of the level of awareness. Part of it is putting out, I think, strong content. I think as an influencer, it's important to use your voice. I'll say that again and again and again. Advocate for the things you care about. Facebook is a wonderful, incredible tool, right? Share resources, express the things that you do in your stories. Because I mean, if, for example, if you're somebody who likes to, if you are looking into meal prepping, right? And someone's sharing meal prepping, material or tips or whatever on their story, you're going to tune into that and you're going to listen. If you don't care about meal prepping, you're not going to, right? So I think as a unit, as a body of people who care about it, we also have to have the awareness that not everyone is going to be interested in this initiative. And the best thing that we can do is create awareness. It's just like an amalgamation of voices, and really kind of, create that movement. Because I really do think it's a movement. I don't think it's something that, one person can just sort of like talk about, here and there. I truly believe that a mass of voices is very strong when you're trying to awaken an awareness piece in a body of people who, like I said, they may care about those things, but they just don't. So video content is great. Put yourself into environments where, you're sort of forced to learn. Farmers market, that's where you learn that, right?
That's where I learned it. And I'm the kind of person that has to recycle all the time. So when I got that large, like it was kind of plastic, you've seen those plastic wraps with the salads. And so they were like, hey, like, I know you're going to recycle this. I know you come to this, market every Sunday. You make sure you throw it away. And I would have recycled it. I would have recycled it right away. And she's like, no, it's corn-based. She's like, I know you, Danielle. I know you. She's like, you have to throw it away. So something like that is something I wouldn't know. And I would just feel bad if I didn't recycle. It's almost having that recycling guilt, right?
And that's why if she didn't tell you, you wouldn't know, right? So she took that moment to educate someone who clearly cared. So pick out the people who care, give that information. If you're ask questions, learn, immerse yourself. And I think understand that there are many different ways of recycling and protecting. I mean, there's obviously that way. There's
Yeah.
changing plastic into glass. There's reducing, your waste in general. There is, changing your living essentials. It goes on and on and on. Even down to, the way that you compost your food. Like, I mean, it's
Yes.
crazy the amount
Yeah.
of things that you can do. I
Yeah.
think it's just, it comes down to education.
Yeah.
And, I can teach you all the different factors of psychology, but if you don't care, then that information is not valuable to you, right? So,
Exactly.
I hope it's not a cop out, but really what it comes down to is you've got to look for the people who are interested. And that's kind of, in business, we call that a target market, right? We call that like our
Yeah.
niche.
Yeah.
And I think in changing the entire situation for our earth and our environment, our health, our bodies, our businesses,
Yeah.
all of that is finding our niche of people who care about it,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that's kind of how I would answer that question. But anything interactive is always going to be amazing.
I love that.
And
I
having
love that.
conversations like this live is part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this. And we're co-creating together, which is amazing.
Absolutely.
Do you have any tips for us? You mentioned, changing a few things around in order to be more sustainably conscious. What if, I mean, you and I live in America, we're a very consumeristic country, right? What are some ways we can still live in this country and still have those luxuries that we want and desire while also being so conscious about what we're doing?
I I'll be the first one to tell you I live in a very expensive area.
Yeah.
I don't reduce my lifestyle in order to reduce my carbon footprint.
Yeah.
I think you have to be, again, it's self-awareness. Where can you cut? Where can you make changes? I mean, I love the solution we offer because I don't think that it requires anyone to
Yeah.
downgrade, I guess, the quality in which they live. I think it actually uplifts them. And I think, again, if you
Mm,
care about these kinds of things and, not exposing yourself to toxins and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera,
yeah.
that's actually going to increase your lifestyle. Um,
I
I
love
know
that.
some of the most successful people in the world. I watch their health go downhill, and so does their
Mm,
success. And
yeah.
so, I mean, obviously with success comes wealth. And if you don't have that wealth, you can't live. So I would sort of almost turn that question around and say, in order to live the best lifestyle you can, a lot of these
Mm,
things are important. I think with
I love that.
sustainability, a lot of the time we think of like, these really like, there's a stereotype of like a dirty hippie, living in out of
Mm,
living out of a tent or something
yeah.
like that. And it's
Yeah.
just not true. It's just
Yeah.
not true. I know
Yeah.
plenty and plenty of people living in the Pacific Northwest where sustainability is actually it's seen as someone who can take the luxuries.
Mm, I love that.
And there's a lot of ways to change, even on a dollar perspective. I mean, you
Yeah.
can people who order produce or go to the store and get produce. I mean, like Jamie Lynn's on this live right now. She showed me just the other week. There's a website where you can get your produce. Like it's ugly
Mm,
produce, but
oh,
it
yeah.
just tastes just the same,
Yeah.
right? But otherwise, that food gets wasted. And so,
Yeah.
just looking at ways like that, like you don't have to spend an exorbitant amount. You don't have to reduce your lifestyle to the point where you're living out,
Mm,
of a tent, unless you want to, go for it.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's with anything. There's a stereotype,
Gotcha.
and people decide that's what it is, and it's just really not. Because I practice a very sustainable lifestyle, but I'll tell you, I don't, live in rags or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That's perfect. Thank you so much. And then tell us more about the water bottles in order for other people to find it who are watching this or who are watching the replay or on YouTube.
Yeah, so my company basically provides a Navy Seal endorsed filtration water bottle. We have
Mm,
that line. We've been carrying it for a while,
yeah.
and it's really designed to kind of remove the nasties without stripping the good stuff.
Mm,
99.9% of the nasties, and so you're just protecting yourself from those things. We also have just created or just aligned ourselves with a new launch of something
mm,
called it's a zeolite solution. And so if you don't know what that is, just Google zeolites, and that's Zeolite's. I can
okay.
spell, as well as assortment of berberine products. And
Okay.
that's BERBERINE.
Mm,
I think the important thing to know is just that these are two ingredients that are designed to detoxify and heal. And that's, our company is all designed to do that. That it's all designed to heal from the inside on a cellular level. And I just think that those are things that you can integrate into your life, that it's not a Band-Aid. It's not just a temporary fix. And that's really important to me, because I don't want to put something in somebody's hands that is not really doing anything for them. You know what I mean? So we have the ability to change that on a larger scale. We have many reasons to do it now while we're young, or if we're old, or if we're sick, or if we're healthy. We have reason to do it now. So that's what I would say. And I appreciate you for giving that little shout out. I think this is where we can make that difference, is by using our audiences and our voices to advocate for other entrepreneurs who truly are making, a massive difference in the marketplace.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and taking your time, and just really spreading the value around through my followers and yours as well. So thank you for everyone coming on. Thank you for your love. And definitely this video will be posted. It's also going to be posted to YouTube. And now how can people find you, Brooklyn?
Just click add on that Facebook page. I will try my best to get to everybody. I get a lot of ads a day just because people are interested in this space. There is a lot of social interest in this space, and just shoot me a message and let's have a conversation. I mean, there's nothing in this world that a conversation of two great minds can't fix.
I agree. And I can actually attest that she is really great at that in all aspects. Well, thank you so much, Brooklyn. It was such a pleasure having you on. It's always great to co-create with you.
Absolutely. Massively appreciate you, girl.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Take care.
Bye, guys.